Hey guys, question of the day. Why in the Western world are the elderly generally treated with so little respect? When I was young, I moved from China to Australia and I immediately felt this difference. Then when I moved again from Australia to United States when I was around age 17, I was already more accustomed to Western culture. I felt even more strongly. The whole idea of a nursing home is just normal here. It is socially accepted. Back in China, at least when I was growing up, places like that, except for very special cases, were unthinkable. You would never consider putting your parents in a nursing home the same way you wouldn't send your 5-year-old to a permanent foster care. For that to happen, something would have to be seriously off in your life or household. It definitely is not common. Frankly, as people get older, their physical attributes, mental sharpness, and direct economic contribution do decline. Sure, but they're already given their best productive years. And at the same time, and this is the part the East focus on more, their wisdom increases, experience is richer, and they have generally good advice backed by real life. They are often spiritually more mature. Because of that, respect goes up with age over there. Last time I was back in China. At any family gathering, my grandparents is always sitting at the head of the table. It doesn't matter what job or social status their kids or grandkids had. You could be a governor. Doesn't matter. It doesn't make an ounce of difference. And your grandparents or your parents could be a farmer. They're sitting at the head of the table, and there's not an ounce of disrespect would be coming from anyone. Respect follows upward. It's just a culture thing. Here in the West, everything feels flipped, upside down. The focus is mostly on the negative of growing old. What about all the benefits? The wisdoms and perspectives that grow old over time. And what really confuses me is that even if everyone here were being totally selfish, you would want to treat the elderly with more respect because that's exactly where you're headed to. It's like a young person laughing at travelers who arrive at a certain resort, pointing out how awful it is when that young person's ticket and train are going to the exact same resort and it's already booked and unchangeable. Why build or keep a culture where your own value decreases as you age? Very weird. In much of the East, yes, all know, human beings, we lose physical and mental capacity. But you gain an equal amount in respect, authority, and social status. And that cultural acknowledgement of all these things, of your wisdom, life doesn't just go downhill for you as you get older. It just changes, right? So whether you approach it with a common sense, aging is part of life, focus on the positive, or even with pure self-interest, you should treat the elderly well because you will be one. We would all do better than we currently do. Our overall societal mental health would increase dramatically. Everybody will feel happier in life. I just volunteered. By the way, I just volunteered. I tried to volunteer at a nursing home near me. They need an application and everything. They have not contacted me back yet. I'm hoping to see what's going on there. Maybe I'll give them a call back later or something. Anyway, this whole thing has always bothered me, and I think our Western obsession intuitively our obsession with outer beauty, materialism, and consumerism plays a big role. And now that I mentioned that and I think about it a bit more, just I think it really boils down to a handful of large forces that's like levers the giant levers that pulling our cultures in wrong direction. And number one, I think it'd be like, how would I even say this? Beer goggles? No, no, productive goggles. Number one would be productive goggles. So it feels like the Western, we like to slap a price tag on everything. What's your output? What's your KPI? We like to quantify things that we can measure. Once your paycheck shrinks, your social value kind of shrinks too, which is nuts. We treat the elderly like old phones that can run the latest applications instead of those ancient, beautiful living libraries. Gorgeous libraries. Think of Doctor Strange, right? Or Alexander's. Well, that library got burned down. But think of Doctor Strange, one of my favorite Marvel movie. where it's like all these ancient books on spells and stuff. But that's one, right? It's productive goggles, yeah, call that. And two, I think everybody kind of moves away. So as the family tends to break up into little nuclear pods, then scattered for jobs at different time zones, grandma is suddenly like 3 hours or 3 flights away. And so the default solution becomes professional elderly care, not bring her downstairs and prepare a spare room for her. Even if she's absolutely fine, like mentally, she can absolutely take care of herself fine, right? Even if she just needs a little bit of help, it's still like that. I think you would not throw her away to some random nursing home, no matter how great their marketing is. Another point is, I think definitely, and this is behind not just this issue, but so many other mental health crises we're facing in the West today, which is youth worship and beauty standard industry worship complex. This whole thing, it's like ads, social media, any form of content online, everything you consume on a daily basis just screams stay young, stay ripped, upgrade your face. That's a whole new topic I can rant on by itself. So aging itself ends up feeling like a disease, like a failure. So when billboards treat wrinkles like a disease, of course, as conditioned as we grow up here, society treats it too. And I think also last one of the point is a piety file, Piety. I'm not sure. It just means like name respect. This upgrade, this got deleted. I in China there is still that, and not just China, of course. In India, Middle Eastern countries, Korea, Vietnam, so on and so forth. Although under U.S. influence, it's getting worse. But still, in China, I'll use that as one of the main example. There's still that built-in story of parent sacrifice, kids repay. This is not even a spiritual thing. This is, even if you think about it in terms of business, if somebody gave you a lot of sacrifice, you want to repay that. It's just being human. Forget about something as sacred as parenthood. And over here, I feel like that moral software upgrade was never installed. Or maybe somebody uninstalled it, or it shows up and says, you need to upgrade, and we just say, well, we'll do it next year, next 10 years, next 5 years. So looking after your mom and your dad is framed as a personal lifestyle choice instead of a sacred duty. And lastly, I probably can think of more, but I only those few things came to my mind. We have a system that makes outsourcing not products to be made somewhere else, but like Medicare, aged care subsidies, private and public institutions that offers to take care of the elderly. There are great safety nets, but they also make it much more effortless to hand the whole job over to institutions. So if the state and the private companies or whatever can just step in, a lot of families just figures, well, okay, it's their job now. That's what we're supposed to do. So what do you guys think? I have a tons of weird questions and thoughts like this. I never have a place to express them, or should I say I never think people care to hear my thoughts on those things. But yeah, this just doesn't make sense to me. I should make a series. Things that doesn't make sense to me. I would love to hear your thoughts, so please leave a comment and let me know what you think about this whole thing. Weird, right? Even if you're being selfish, you go to the same place as the elderly. So why would you disrespect them? Alright guys, talk to you. Oh, and please remember to subscribe and ring the bell. Otherwise, so subscribe and ring the bell. Cheers.